They're giving her a lunchbox. She is going to have lunch with them.
Welcome to Inchworm,
the podcast in which we are inching through worm. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ted.
Right, and this time we had Chapter 2, Insinuation 2.6.
Very exciting.
Yes, I believe it is my turn to summarize.
Yeah, so what happened in this chapter?
Well, as expected, she went and met up with 3 of these villains of the dun-dun-dun Undersiders.
Amazing.
Yes, that is the name of this group. So we join Taylor. She's just sent back a message to Tattletale saying, like, yes, I'll be there. She goes home. She gets her costume on under her clothing. There's some complicated stuff about armor I didn't really understand. Then she goes to the rooftop. First, she sends some flies to investigate, and sure enough, there are these 3 people with no masks waiting on the rooftop. And she goes up and she meets Tattletale, Gru, and Regent. She learns their real names. We get some descriptions. And we learn that Bitch is not there because she doesn't agree with what they're doing here. So it's just the 3 of them. She voted against it, so she's not there. And we learn that they're showing up without masks because they want her to trust them. They want to make a show of trust. And Tattletale says, we owe you, and hands her a lunchbox with $2,000 in it, and says, this can be yours, no strings attached. And the reason they would do it no strings attached is just, there aren't that many people out there who have goodwill towards them. Would be nice to kind of have that. But it's an either or situation. Either she can take it no strings attached, or it can be the first installment in the monthly allowance she's entitled to as a member of the Undersiders.
Ooh.
So they're here to recruit her, and we learn all sorts of things about them. We learn there's some sort of boss who pays them an allowance to stay together. We learn they earn much more than $2,000 a month doing what they do. We learn that they have tried to recruit several other capes, and it's gone wrong for various reasons, which is why they're making this kind of extra show of trust to her, because they really want it to succeed. We learn that this is what Bitch was against, that she doesn't want to try to recruit Taylor. We get sort of a rundown of the various crews of villains that are in the town now that Lung is out of commission. And we also learn, so Taylor's like, okay, but I'm not that much of a heavy hitter. And they're like, are you kidding? You took down Lung. She's like, no, he would have gotten me if you guys hadn't shown up. And they're like, yeah, but you put him in a hospital bed. And she's like, what? And we learn from them that, in fact, the bug she had biting and stinging him did some serious damage. And it was worse because when he got to the hospital, they didn't realize that he had undergone this sort of deliberate attack. She had these biting and stinging insects bite him multiple times. Usually they would only do that once. So the doctor who saw him was like, oh, those bugs only bite once. We'll just check on him in a few hours. And in fact, the damage was much more intense than that. And so he will be all right in 6 months to a year. And also had some serious damage to his genitalia. So she is concerned about her reputation in light of this. And also, I think she's just kind of freaked out by having done this to Lung. And so it seems like Gru, Brian, is like, no, stop freaking her out. We're trying to recruit her here. And so they kind of, they pose this offer to her and are trying to sell her on this. And she thinks, well, I still have more questions, and it's not like I have to sign the deal in blood. And so, yeah, I'm in. And we end the chapter with her agreeing to join the Undersiders.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So exciting.
She has a new supergroup.
What did you think of this chapter?
I mean, it was a lot, a lot of info, a lot of characters, like, definitely a big, she agreed already, like, this is a huge thing. Yeah. It feels like it's bringing us into a whole new chapter, so to speak.
Yeah. I thought it was so funny because even at the beginning of the chapter, she approaches everything so cautiously, which seems to be very much her MO. She's like, I'm going to come in costume. I don't care if it's rude. No one's, my costume will protect me from an attack. Yeah, she has her bug scouts. And then by the end, she's like, well, what have I got to lose? I'm in. Right? It's like, it almost feels very un-Taylor at that point.
That's true. There's not as much analysis of the choice. And I think it kind of is because she's like, well, I'm not really agreeing to anything specific. Like,
yeah, and she had strong intentions going in that she might carry out this kind of like
covert operation
thing. But certainly, like, the Undersiders seem pretty chill, right? So, like, it's very positive vibes from them throughout the chapter. So I don't blame Taylor for just
exactly.
kind of thing. Like, sure.
Yeah.
Let's see how this goes.
And last time we had said, like, wow, Tattletale just agreeing to meet up, like, no costumes. Like, is she doing this because she knows that Taylor will be one of them, and so she doesn't feel the need to be cautious? That's still, it's still a possibility. We don't know their powers. Like, they didn't put those on the table before she signed on. But it seems more like they're doing it this way because they've failed when there's been more caution. They've kept trying to recruit people and it hasn't gone that well. So they're like, okay, well, we really need to put our best foot forward.
Right. And it's interesting because you do get the sense that Taylor undervalues herself, right? Like,
definitely.
It seems very authentic the way that they're like, no, you actually seem like that's your first time out and you like destroyed Lung. That's amazing. But it's also not like she's a very special story protagonist, that like she's the one rare snowflake who gets the offer. Because they're like, well,
they've been trying to recruit someone for a while.
We're very lucky that we can recruit you now, but like, there might not have been a spot if we'd been more successful. Right, previously.
She's not the chosen one.
Exactly.
She's the next in their line of like, gotta get some more firepower.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the fly scouting mission? It reminded me a lot.
I'm so Animorphs.
It's like Taylor at all times has an entire team of like oops all bugs Animorphs to go do her scouting. Yeah.
We learned some more about how Taylor interacts with her bug's senses. Apparently, she can get hearing and sight from them, but it's pretty overwhelming. Like, it doesn't hurt her to get that sensory input, but it makes her miserable, apparently, if she doesn't kind of shut that down. So at the beginning...
Can I read some of the description of the... The end result was that the signals my power were able to translate and send to me in a way my brain could understand were muted. Visual information came through as ink blot patches of monochrome light and dark, alternating between fuzzy and overly sharp. Sound was almost painful to focus on, breaking down to bass vibrations that made my vision distort and high-pitched noises that weren't unlike nails on a chalkboard. Multiply that by 100, 1,000, 10,000... and it was overwhelming.
See, the problem is that, when the Animorphs morphed flies, they had the fly's brain to help them interpret things, and she doesn't have that.
Right. No, that's right.
No, but so it seems like usually she focuses on touch with the bugs because that's just easier for her to interpret.
And in particular, she has very good distance sense and like relative motion sense.
It's like, kind of a proprioception. She knows where the bugs are.
Where they are in relation to her and what direction they're moving.
Mm-hmm. And so, she's able to scout out these people, and it seems like probably not get a very clear image of them, but like, I'm sure we're going to see a lot of this in the future, her using bugs to scout, especially if she's collaborating with these guys.
I also enjoyed it, sort of like I don't know, it made my skin crawl when she's like, and I had 3 of the flies buzz down and land on their skin. And I'm like, ew, like, I don't know.
Did they notice that? Like,
right. Well, it's not like land on their costume and their hair. It's like she found a patch of skin. Probably flies land on me all the time and I don't notice. But like sometimes I do. I don't know. Also, you mentioned the armor thing, which I wasn't going to comment on. But I think the point about her armor was just that it's like explaining how it works a little more, and that it's not like she's just wearing like a silk suit. It's like
They're put some detachable pieces.
She has put some thought into the way the armor interlinks, and it's sort of like, it fits together in a way that makes sense. Like, I don't want to say like Legos or something, but it sort of has a, like it all kind of slots into place.
It's been very complicated to build. Yeah. I felt like I do when I read a description of a map in a book, where I just like have to read it like 15 times and I still can't really picture it. And finally I'm just like moving on.
I mean, it does sort of imply that she has like bigger, because I sort of imagine if it's made out of insect shell, that it's like those shells are very small and kind of put together like sort of like chainmail or scale mail or something.
Yeah.
But so it's unclear to me if this is saying there are larger plates somehow, or if it's just that
I think it's larger sections of
the
that
larger
chainmail.
sections
Yeah,
have
that was
those
my
interlocking pieces. Yeah.
She found a really big bug.
Exactly.
Size of her pectoral muscle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what else do you want to talk about? We met the Undersiders.
Yeah, we got to talk about these 3 people.
Who do you want to talk about first?
Well, I think Tattletale is the
Can
first
I
person.
Describe her again? Well, what's Tattletale's name?
Lisa.
The girl had dirty blonde hair tied back into a loose braid, a smattering of freckles over the bridge of her nose, and the same vulpine grin I recognized from the night prior. She wore a black long-sleeve t-shirt with a graffiti-style design on it and a knee-length denim skirt. I was surprised by the bottle glass green of her eyes.
I can't get over the fact that her name is Lisa. This is completely ridiculous because we know several people like our age whose names are Lisa, but also it just feels like it should be a name from several decades earlier. And the same for Gru, who is Brian, even though we also know some Brians. It just, those names, especially together, just feel older.
Interesting.
Which was just weirdly disorienting to me.
I mean, that's like not something at all that pings for me on a reread. That is very, very funny. I do think, though, Brian, we'll talk about him
We
later,
know a lot of Brians.
But Lisa, she does kind of feel like somebody, not old-fashioned necessarily, but like, she seems like such a dork. Like, she talks about she like has her grin gets even bigger when she's like, when you're out here doing dastardly deeds with us. And she calls Taylor honey, and then when they first shows up, Regent or Alec, as we learn, and Lisa had a bet going about whether Taylor would show in costume.
Yeah.
And the first thing is Lisa crows, "Pay up!" Which, I don't know. Lisa has a very large personality. She's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like her. Yeah.
Any other thoughts about what we learn or don't learn about
She won't really
Lisa?
say more about her power. She specifically says, like, until you join us, we're not going to tell you more. But it does seem like she's the reason they know this about Leung being in the hospital. Just like more confirmation that she has some sort of knowledge-based power, but we don't know its parameters.
Yeah.
She certainly doesn't seem to have any awareness that Taylor does not intend to be a villain. She did mention, like, when you're out here doing dastardly deeds, and I was like, okay, so she thinks that's what Taylor's all about. Even though when they met Taylor, she was taking down a supervillain.
Yeah.
So she doesn't know everything.
But it sounds like the Undersiders get into scrapes with other villains all the time.
That's true, so they probably just assume. And she does look scary, and also they're looking for recruitment, so...
Yeah, you see what you want to see?
Exactly.
Do you want to talk about Regent?
Ooh, wait, before we move on, I wonder if there's a thing where she can see threats, and she doesn't see Taylor as a threat, and so that makes her think that Taylor is a villain, not a potential ally, not by definition.
That's so interesting.
An enemy. Because it's weird that, like, that doesn't even occur to them, and I wonder if it's because something about her power, which is not exactly malfunctioning, but because Taylor is going to ally with them, and I presume eventually in a real way, it's not picking up on her as a potential hero.
Oh, that's interesting. It's sort of like her intuition is telling her that...
Her intuition is like 10 steps ahead.
Right, exactly. Even further ahead than where Taylor is at this point.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
It's funny that you say that, because I feel like we also had with Armsmaster, the first thing that Taylor says to him is, "I'm a good guy." And he's like, "Oh, okay, you're telling the truth." Right? So I feel like she's had from both sides kind of like people project onto her what they, expect or at least take her... I
forgot about that. Armsmaster's seeming knowledge.
Yeah,
power.
take her at her word,
when
to the extent that she's talking about it. And I don't think Taylor at any point tells a lie to them in this chapter.
No, that's true.
She does say,
they don't ask.
Right.
Yeah, and she is planning to be in. She's not lying about that.
Right.
Yeah, so we have Tattletale, Lisa, and then we have Gru, who is Brian. Oh, I guess we get Regent's description first. Regent is the smaller and younger of the two guys. Seems like Regent is about Taylor's age, and Taylor's what, 14?
Probably 15.
15?
Because she's at least a sophomore in high school.
Oh, I thought she was a freshman. Okay, she's a sophomore. Yeah. So, yeah, Regent is 15, which, these people are not old. He has a mop of black curls. It seems like both he and Tattletale are white. Yeah, blonde hair. And then, it seems like he has French or Italian heritage. He has blue eyes, full lips pulled into a bit of a scowl. And he's a pretty boy, which is not Taylor's type, we learn. And as a sidebar, she lists 4 pretty boys: Leonardo DiCaprio, Justin Bieber, Johnny Depp, and Marcus Firth. I was like, oh, I haven't heard of him. So I Googled him, and he is not a thing in our world. So that's like this AU specific person.
I love that it's sort of
tape.
A reminder of like, most of the things that exist in our world do exist in this world, but it's not exactly the same.
The other 3, Justin Bieber still a pop star or whatever. Yeah, sitting there with his bottle of cola. Yeah, we don't learn anything about his power. Yeah.
What did you get any more about his kind of personality or, anything to characterize him?
He does seem to be more of a Lancer type, like more of a saying, like kind of more of a smart Alec. I mean, his name is Alec, yeah. But I was going to say that, and then I realized it was also a pun. And like, he's maybe not as careful about the things he says being diplomatic. Like Brian is kind of like, stop freaking her out. And Alec is like, yeah, if someone made my man parts fall off, I would be pretty mad. And Gru was like, calm down, So it seems like he's a little bit more of the...
Yeah, more immature, but also he's probably a couple years younger.
Young. Yeah. That's a good point. He seems like someone with a little bit of attitude who likes, clever remarks.
And certainly not the leader among this group.
No. Yeah. I feel like Brian was taking, again, a little bit more of sort of a leadership-ish role. We learned that he's really tall. He's taller than Taylor by at least a foot.
And we don't have any indication that Taylor is short. So
no, she's a 15-year-old girl, but that's
he's
like
well over 6 feet tall, probably.
Most 15-year-old girls are as tall as they're going to be.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably middling 6 feet there, at least. He has dark chocolate skin, shoulder-length cornrows, and that masculine lantern jaw you typically associate with guy superheroes. He's wearing a t-shirt, which seems like he might be cold. He has considerable muscle definition in his arms. He also has an adult voice, even if his appearance gives the sense of a guy in his late teens. So he just sort of has this air of authority and maturity that Alec certainly doesn't give off, and maybe more so than Lisa, who does seem to have more of a sort of protective thing going towards Taylor. So, she and Brian seem to be sort of taking on the mantle of authority here. Though what we learn is that it's not just the 4 of them. They have a mysterious boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Taylor is very curious about that. Like, she's like, is this boss someone who has other teams of supervillains? Like, what is the deal? And we do learn that Tattletale, when she won't tell her powers, but Alex says Lisa's half the reason we haven't failed a job yet, and Lisa says our boss is a large part of the rest. So there's a boss with some, either supernatural or not, power, but like do we know the gender of the boss?
Not disclosed.
Okay. They do not seem to be active in like going out on missions and stuff. We do know that Rachel is Bitch's name. We do know that she didn't vote to recruit Taylor. I don't know if we know if like the boss had a vote or if it's like the 4 of them, but like somehow they report to, like it's a little unclear.
Yeah. They're definitely, not reading her in fully until she says yes. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. They're deliberately withholding information about the boss. Yeah, that was one of the most intriguing things. I was like, it's not just, okay, what is she going to do with these 4 other people? It's also who is this boss and how does this boss relate to the other supervillains out there, to, human power structures.
And what Tattletale says is, what I can tell you is that we're a good group. Our track record is top notch and we're in it for fun and profit.
I love that.
No grand agenda, no real responsibility.
Which connects to, like, what we had heard about them, that, there had been some sort of bigger heists, but that was, like, mostly money stealing. They're not trying to amass power the way that it seemed like Loon was trying to do. They're not trying to, like, terrorize people. They're in it for fun and profit. Which,
yeah.
sounds awesome. It's It's definitely a little bit like morally empty. They're not Robin Hooding it out there. Like, they're not being vicious about it, but they're not in it for any sort of greater good as far as I can tell.
Right.
They don't even, the way she describes it, maybe some of them do, but they don't even seem to have like an anti-authority chip on their shoulder. It's kind of,
Yeah, it's very much, it's sort of like, yeah, we're tough, we have powers, we can do this, so we will. Right? That's the vibe.
Oh yeah, we do. So Brian says, we haven't screwed up a job yet, but the way us three figure it, it's only a matter of time before we end up stuck in a fight we can't win, with Bitch is the only one of us who can really dish out the hurt. Which does sound like it's a decision they're making. Like, maybe they answer to this boss in some way, the boss provides some funding for them, or at least the boss incentivizes them to keep doing their thing, but it doesn't seem like the boss is an active part of decision-making in the group.
Right. Brian says the boss pays us to stick together and to stay active. Mm-hmm. So that feels very hands-off. Yeah.
Really interesting. Speaking of the power networks of the supervillains, so Brian lists off, like, with the ABB being diminished, there's going to be some power struggles, and like the various gangs and teams he describes. So there's us, there's Fault Line's crew, the remaining ABB, Empire 88, the solo villains, and any out-of-town teams or gangs. So we don't, I think, know anything yet about Fault Line, though Fault Line recruited Spitfire, who they wanted to recruit and failed to. We don't know anything about Empire 88, I don't think. Of course, we know about the ABB. And then there are some other solo villains. So we're getting a little hints of, like, the cast of characters.
Yeah. We also learned some of the names I made you guess last time. When Taylor's like, I don't know why you want me. My bugs aren't going to stop Alexandria, Glory Girl, or Aegis. What do you suspect that those capes have in common?
It sounds like they're all really, like, high-powered fighters.
Yeah.
I would guess.
Yeah, bruiser types.
Yeah, which I thought Alexandria was going to have all the knowledge of the libraries of the world, so I'm a little disappointed that my guess is probably wrong there.
Well, what else did we learn about Alexandria?
Did we learn something else about Alexandria?
When they give her the money, they offer it to her in an Alexandria
lunchbox. Which, doesn't she say that was, like, my favorite when I was... Yeah, she was my favorite member of the Protectorate when I was a kid. So possibly these are all Protectorate big guns.
Yeah.
Or big guns, or, with Aegis, you would expect some sort of big shield.
Right. No, that's a good point.
Also, Alexandria's been around for a while. Taylor's only, like, 15, but...
Yeah.
At least a decade.
Same category as Arms Master.
Yes, yeah. Established, kind of a name you go to when you're, like, a big shot. Yeah.
I love this lunchbox moment. So this is,
I was like, they're giving her a lunchbox. She is going to have lunch with them.
Well, for me, Tattletale offers her, like, we owed you one. No strings attached. Offers the lunchbox. And Taylor says, she tilts her head and then says, Alexandria, she was my favorite member of the Protectorate when I was a kid. Is the lunchbox collectible? Is Taylor, does she have a dry sense of humor, or is she being dense? I
think it's the first one.
Okay.
It really struck me as, like, she's like, okay, guys, is this lunchbox collectible? Why are you giving this to me?
Okay, because for whatever reason, I feel like I read Taylor as, like, I feel like she doesn't crack jokes a lot, and, like, she hasn't had cause to, because she hasn't hung out with any friends.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe I should be more open to this is her being funny. But I definitely
thought she was being funny.
As, like,
yeah.
She's like, it's like her brain is running at, like, 1,000,000 miles an hour, and she's like, okay, they're giving me a lunchbox. Why would they give me a lunchbox? Maybe the lunchbox is collectible.
I really don't think so.
Okay, fair. And then
she's bantering.
Lisa does roll her eyes back at her.
Yeah. Yeah, and it goes to show that they have a lot of money to spare. And it's part of that whole recruitment, like, we really need to sweeten the deal. It's, it's not that big a loss if she just takes the money and leaves. At least we'll have someone who kind of has goodwill towards us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're hoping that this will help get her through the door. Which, it's unclear how much the money helps, but she does say at the end, she's like, I had a lot to gain. She doesn't actually anywhere in this chapter reference spying on them and reporting to Armsmaster or other members of the Protectorate.
Right.
Doesn't even come up in her thoughts. Like, presumably it's just, well, we don't need to be reminded of that because she just thought about it last chapter. But it is funny how it just doesn't even enter her monologue, her narration.
Right. And she was, before she replied to Tattletale, was almost about to not... She was going to do nothing, right? Kind of her default passivity that she's shown throughout the story so far is nowhere to be found. Like, once she's out here doing this.
Yeah, she says, she doesn't even really hesitate.
Gung-ho.
I mean, she, like, thinks about it a little bit, but she goes for it. And it's interesting, like, she says, it wasn't like I was signing the deal in blood or anything. She doesn't really give any thought to, okay, but what am I gonna have to do? Am I comfortable with it?
Right.
Like, she doesn't seem to be worried about that at all. Which is interesting because she does seem to have been really disturbed by hearing what she did to Loon. I think she probably just hasn't really thought it through.
Right.
And it does seem like these guys, they, like you said, they really don't present as threatening or like, bruiser types.
Right.
They're like, we're in it for fun and profit, which...
And it's interesting, there's no sign yet of a pretty classic, narrative device here would be you're going undercover, but there's a hazing ritual you have to go through. Where you
she doesn't have to pay anything up front.
But it's just, even you have to show that you're willing to beat someone up, if not kill them. You sort of have to incriminate yourself so that the gang has something on you, right? It's kind of that hazing introduction type of stuff. Yeah. They're very much just like, do you want to, come hang out with us? We have a, we have a villain
sweet
club.
Deal.
Yeah. And maybe that'll come. But I really, they seem so friendly.
They definitely, we were talking about, like, what makes a villain. It sounds like they're on the wrong side of the law, but, like, are not particularly violent about it, except insofar as they kind of have to be, because sometimes people want to fight them about it.
What did you make of the revelation about Loon?
Oh, gosh, yeah. I mean, Taylor definitely, it's not surprising that she doesn't know how to calibrate her power yet.
Yeah.
Like, the effect that the bugs can have on people. She really went all in on it because she's like, this guy has super healing. I'm going to have to really target him hard. And it seems like she just didn't know her own strength, didn't know the bug's strength.
Right. And it's a little bit of this, like, she bit him a lot, expected him to be able to heal from it. And he was taken into custody, but then there was the sort of, like, doctor making a bad call thing.
Yeah.
And there was, like, Lung's healing stopped sooner than Taylor
Maybe it was
expected.
because he wasn't in battle anymore. Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
right. So there is kind of but it's almost like it's a very unintended consequence of something that Taylor started, but then it sort of went beyond her locus of control, right?
Yeah.
She's
which
involved
I think is
in
a
the
little
outcome.
bit of a metaphor for, like, she's her power is all about control, but she doesn't really have control over the outcome, like you were saying. Like,
and
she's going to do things, and they're going to have consequences far beyond what she intended.
Yeah, and she was thinking a chapter or two ago, the sort of like, oh yeah, and Bakuda seems really scary, and like, she wouldn't go on like a revenge, bombing campaign through the city, or anything like that, right? Like, I don't need to worry about that kind of stuff.
Someone else will take care of that.
Yeah. This is another example of that kind of thing. I also, it's such a funny, like, teenage humor thing that they're like, wait, you didn't hear that you, like, melted his dick off? Like, which is like, it's not like, it sounds awful. It sounds horrific that his, like, skin is, like, necrotizing and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's also, I guess, in the context of, like, well, he'll heal in 6 months and everyone's a supervillain. Like, he has super healing. It's fine. I
think there's a darker side of it. So what the doctor said is like, okay, well, they're bug bites and stings, but the really venomous ones don't bite multiple times. Let's arrange to check on him in a few hours. I'm not sure that really makes sense. Because, like, I guess the fact that she had them bite multiple times is why it was as bad as it was. But it's not like they counted the bug bites and knew what bugs they were and knew how many bugs bit him. Like, if it's like, oh, he was bit by a bunch of bugs, it could be bad. Like, the fact that the bugs bit multiple times obviously made it worse. But, like, they didn't really have the numbers to know that it would be fine even if they bit once. But he's in custody with the Protectorate. He is a supervillain, like basically in jail, being seen by a doctor. I think this says something about the way that
that's a great point. And it's not even like I'm sure Lung is upset with Taylor, but he's probably also upset with wherever he's being
Arms
held.
master. Yeah, the doctor who's like, oh, he was bit by a ton of bugs, but let's just check on him in a few hours. Like, that's incredibly irresponsible, even if you think that the bugs only bit him once.
Yeah. And I'm sort of imagining like, oh, well, they took his blood and they did toxicology or whatever, but maybe they just have some...
They probably didn't. They probably just looked at him.
No, or they have a cape who's like, these are the bugs he got bit by, right? Like, maybe, like, who knows, right?
That's true. We don't really know what information they had, but like very irresponsible and probably like deliberately negligent, like somewhat consciously negligent. Like they don't like him. They don't have respect for him. Yeah.
That'll be interesting to keep an eye on.
Especially as Taylor says, she could see her reputation going down the tubes from the damage that she did to Loon. Which is so relatable. Like you're like this kid who fought a supervillain and you are freaked out by the amount of damage you did to him, but also he's a bad guy, so you're not really that worried about it, but you're like, other people know that I did this, and they're gonna think I did it on purpose, and that's, like, again, another thing that's out of her control.
It also strikes me as, like, it's interesting in this world, this escapism world, where she, like, feels like she can kind of go hard and, like, fight or whatever. She has, like, already kind of, like, gone too far, right? But she knows in her private life she's desperately afraid of going carry on her bullies. Right. And it's sort of like,
I mean, she's justified.
This does justify that the risk is there, if you go one step too far.
She'd give them lice and they'd end up, like, eating their scalps off or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the question of scale is going to be a really interesting one, because you just never get bugs on the scale that Taylor can, deal in them. And so when you have that many potential tiny agents, you can do way more damage than you meant to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm noticing, so Lisa's like, what I can tell you is that we're a good group. Kind of the idea is like, other groups will probably be recruiting you. You're probably looking for a group to join. Like, we're a good one.
Yeah. And it does support, I feel like, the way that, because it's been less than 24 hours and they're to the point of offering her team membership. Mm-hmm. It really feels like a hard sell. Like, this is a great negotiation strategy with somebody who, like, doesn't know their own value. Right? It's just like, just sweep them in, get them to sign the contract, and then you don't have to worry about Fault Line's crew dipping in or, whatever else might come up.
It's funny, one of the things she thinks, she's like, I picked up some info, but I had a lot more questions. Who's the boss? What made these guys as effective as they were? And was it something I could steal or copy for myself? What an interesting question, especially because she isn't, at this point, thinking like, I want to become a solo villain. She has declared that she wants to be a hero. That seems to be what she wants still. But she wants to borrow whatever makes them so effective.
Right, and it's pretty insightful. It's like, even if they have bad motives I don't agree with, the ends are very different from the means. Mm-hmm. If they're effective, I can be effective and just, do different things with that.
Mm-hmm. I had a couple other small thoughts. She's really surprised by the, like, bottle green color of Tattletale's eyes. And I was like, it's a total shipping moment.
But you didn't pick that up when she was admiring Brian's muscle shirt?
I mean, this is the guy who works out. She doesn't specifically say that Brian is not her type. She says that Regent is not her type. She doesn't say it about either of the other two. So probably they're going to be a throuple.
Right? Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is more predictions, but Rachel's going to be a complication. It seems like her name isn't bitch for nothing. She's, I think, a difficult person to deal with. They said that, I think it was Spitfire who... They tried to recruit her, but Rachel was there, and so Spitfire was scared off before they could even make the offer. And Rachel's the only one who voted against recruiting Taylor. She seems like someone with a lot of attitude. That relationship is going to be very difficult, and it's going to be interesting to see how the group dynamics smooth out. Because it seems like the other three, at least on the surface, are willing to embrace her as part of the group at this point. There might be more complications that arise, but the initial tension within the group is probably going to be with Rachel, who, it sounds like, is such a Rachel in the Animorph sense of it. Even though she's not the blonde one, she's the Rachel. Not in the Friends sense.
No.
I think in the Friends sense, like, Tattletale's definitely more the Rachel.
This will be a fun, as we get to know them, we can play the who's who in the band of five.
Yes.
How do they map onto other...
Yeah, I mean, Alec is such a Chandler. Obviously. I guess Brian is probably Ross. We'll see.
Oh, man, poor Brian.
Well, he's definitely not Joey. I don't think he's Monica either. He's definitely not Phoebe, so there's not that many options.
This is going to be... we should return to which of the Undersiders is Joey. This is a great thing to think about.
Maybe it'll be Rachel. We don't know. Probably not. All right, anything else we should talk about before...
No, I don't know. I mean, what do you think's going to happen? Predictions. What do you think's going to happen next?
I mean, she's going to have to meet Rachel. I hope she gets to see a clubhouse or something.
Cool.
That'd be really fun. I think she's going to have to deal with some consequences from all of the classes she's missing. Like, maybe she'll go home and we'll have more of a, like, mundane chapter where she's, like, interacting with her dad. And, like, maybe the school finally calls him and is like, your daughter's missing all these classes. She does have money now to replace her textbook, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess at some point soon they're going to have to bring her on a mission. Oh, and we'll get to find out about their powers. I don't think we're going to go right into a conversation where they're like, oh, great, you're in. Let us tell you everything. Like, I think we're going to get drawn out a little bit. I think she's probably going to go home and we're going to get some other action happening. And then I hope we don't swing back to the school bullies before we get some Undersiders action, just because I feel like there's a lot of momentum about that right now. And so maybe she can do some cool supervillain stuff and then go back to school and be like, it's so weird being here with these jerks who want to bully me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting some more self-confidence.
I feel like it might take a little longer before she can really stand up to the bullies, but... one supervillain mission isn't going to change everything for you at school, but...
Right.
Yeah, I think probably when the first mission does happen, she's going to have some conflicted thoughts about, like, but we're robbing the whatever or something. And she's going to have to do some internal calculus of, like, okay, well, we're not really harming anyone, and I have this sort of greater mission of getting information about them so that I can shut down groups like this, so this is justified and this is fine. But I think it's a slippery slope, Taylor. Slippery slope. Fortunately, I don't think obeying the law is all that important morally, so I don't know that it's a slippery slope into, like, evil. But it's certainly a slippery slope away from being able to be accepted by the Protectorate as a hero.
Right. Which, yeah, who wants that?
But do we want that?
Anyway?
But it's going to get really complicated. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right.
Oh, I will say I don't have any more predictions about what the three people's powers are. I feel like Alec didn't give us anything to go on.
No, that makes sense.
Maybe just have it's like name. A Coca-Cola drinking power.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what that would even be.
All right, well, we have one name.
Okay, I'm excited.
Introduce the next chapter.
Shadow
Stalker.
Shadow Stalker. Huh. I mean, I would expect that to be like a stealth person. Someone who can... maybe not quite turn invisible, but at least, like, blend in really, really well and, like, hide in shadows, basically. It would be cool if, like, they're literally invisible anytime they're in a shadow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Sounds good.
Yeah, okay.
All right, until next time. Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildbow. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.